My husband and I were high school sweethearts. We met in high school and we're together. So he's been my husband, my boyfriend, since I was 14 years old. We were married in July of 2005, but we very intentionally waited to have children, and our oldest was born in 2010. So we got almost the full 5 years. And so then we had Colt on December 20th, 2010. And normal pregnancy, everything was fine. I had like a little incident, like a little scare, but everything worked out fine. Carried him to term, totally normal. I was a substitute teacher at the time, so that was kind of made things challenging at the end, after he was born, but nothing scary, everything fine, everything good. He was born in December, and then I nursed him, and so from December on, nothing was happening, obviously, but then we weren't looking to have kids super fast, and so then in September, I took a positive pregnancy test, but it was really, really weird. Or like I had a period, I don't know. It was really strange in September. And then it turns out that I was pregnant or something. I don't know. It was very strange. So then it went on, and then I was pregnant. Like I really was pregnant in like December or whatever, a year later or whatever. And there's a picture of us at Christmas of 2011. Yes, that's correct. There's a picture of us Christmas of 2011. It's the last picture of the three of us where I was just a regular mom. Just a regular mom with regular kids, doing regular things. And so the holidays came and went, January hits, and I have my normal appointments, and we go for what we thought was our 20-week ultrasound. And we go for our ultrasound, and we're there, and the lady's like, hey guys, how are you doing? Everything's happy, she's fine. She's like, here's the legs, here's this, here's the hip bone, here's a little foot, here's a hand, And then we're talking about all of this, and she's showing us all these things. And then all of a sudden she gets real quiet, and I kind of like perk my interest. I'm like, and then all of a sudden she starts to talk to Jared about the weather. And I'm like, this has never happened before. I've done this. This is my first rodeo. I know I've done a normal, healthy, regular pregnancy. Kind of sort of know how this goes. She started talking about the weather, and she left, and she said, she stopped talking, full stop, no more conversation. Started talking about the weather, no more conversation about the baby. Now, I had just had a friend that lost a baby to a heart defect. So I asked her, I was like, is his heart okay? Like, as if that was the only thing that could go wrong. And I was like, is his heart okay? She's like, oh yeah, his heart's fine. But I'm gonna have to go get the doctor. He's gonna have some concerns. And that immediately I knew. I told Jared, I said, something's not right. And he goes, he's fine, it's fine. He's always really good about bringing my worry down. I can get very worried medically about things, and he's super good about calming me and don't worry, everything's fine. The tech leaves and says, we have some concerns. The doctor comes in and he's like, your baby's not gonna live. This baby has a condition called anencephaly. Anencephaly is where the skull doesn't develop properly and babies don't live. They don't make it. It's not a thing. These babies don't live. There are no living people with anencephaly. It is 100% fatal, no question at all. And so he gave us some pamphlets on like grieving and losing your baby, and my husband, rightfully so, was very concerned about my personal safety. And like, what does this mean? Like, how does the skull form? Like, is it safe? I have a baby at home. Like, what does this mean? Like, do we terminate? Is it safe? And it has given me a really special connection to women that do terminate pregnancies. And I'm very cautious to say that anywhere, really, because I'm 100% pro-life, 100,000%. And I do not believe the argument of the 1%. I do not believe I don't believe that that's real. Well, what about the 1% of all the mother's life? And it's less than 1%. I do agree with that. But man, when you're in it and you become you become the potential 1%. I wasn't even the real 1%. I was a potential 1%. You feel a lot of compassion for all women who feel like this is their only choice. Like, what do I do? What do I do? Do I carry a pregnancy where I know I'm not going to live and I have a baby at home? We didn't know. So Gideon's diagnosis was on January 31st. That was a Tuesday. And immediately it was just crushing to both of us, and I was a mess. We go straight to my parents' house, and I told Jared, I said, I'm posting this on Facebook right now. I'm not waiting. I'm doing it now, because I don't want people to not know, because everybody knows I'm pregnant. And so I'm not doing this alone. I posted on Facebook that very, very night, immediately. I was like, our baby has a condition called anencephaly. Please pray for us. We don't really know what that means. Whatever. My sister, I'm the oldest of 5 daughters. My sisters knew, my parents knew. It was out there. And so we had to wait a week to meet with my doctor. A whole entire week. That's a really long time to not know, which is the whole issue with this whole situation, is the unknown. You're traveling the whole time. You're traveling in the unknown. You don't know. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what to do. You don't know who to talk to. Nobody else has anencephaly. Well, and then the thoughts are like, well, okay. So we're Christians. My husband and I have been Christians our whole. I got saved when I was 10 years old, and my grandma's kitchen table at the back of a New Testament Gideon's Bible, which, fittingly, isn't that funny? My grandparents were founding members of the Gideon New Testament Bible Society, or whatever it's called, in Brown County, where I'm from. So that's fun little. There's all kinds. Which is how God works. He interweaves it all together and works it. That's the thing about this whole thing, is He works it all for our good. And if you think about a painting, every painting. So if your life's a painting and my life's a painting and everybody's life's a painting, paintings are no good if they're only just bright colors. The paintings have to have contrast. So you have to have darkness in your painting. Think about these things. I knew I didn't want to travel this journey alone. So I posted on Facebook that very day, and we went a whole week, and that's a long time to not know. And I didn't know. So I started thinking about the painting. I started thinking like, okay, this is God's will, obviously. There's nothing, and that's one thing they had to reassure me of, is there's nothing I could have done to make it better. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't cause it, which when you have that level of a lack of control, then it means that God's in control. And that was huge for me too. Like I couldn't have caused it. I couldn't have, I didn't cause it. I couldn't have avoided it. There's nothing I could have done. I didn't do anything wrong. It just was what it was. And that I couldn't fix it. Right. It just was what it was. And so, so I knew that I needed to share the story. I didn't want to walk it alone. And so I get to a week later and I have my appointment, and they're like, this is absolutely anencephaly. We asked all of our questions. Am I in danger? No. You should terminate. There's no point in carrying this pregnancy. It's not viable at all. And I was like, okay, but if I'm not, and Jared and I had an agreement, if I'm in danger, we call it. If I am safe, we let it go. And so with that being the agreement, I'm really thankful that we didn't have to make that call. And that's a strand through this whole thing too. A lot of time there are a lot of things that I thought I wanted, and I'm really glad didn't happen because I didn't have to make the call. There were a lot of ways that I wanted to be God, but God was God, and He did it, and then I didn't have to do it. And so there were so many things like that I'm so thankful for. But I was going to be safe, and so we decided to carry. We're going to go as long as we can. So then we start thinking like, okay, so this is God's will. What does that mean? So what can we do to further God's will, I guess? So we started thinking about things like organ donation. Like if this baby is not going to live, but he's going to develop all of his other organs, can we donate his organs and try to bless some other family somewhere? my doctor, her name was Dr. Von Honey, and God bless her. She is wonderful. We're Facebook friends now, and we don't talk very often. She did not end up delivering Gideon, but she worked tirelessly to try to figure out what can we do, because his brain stem is going to show signs of life. It was a very fine line of like life or no life, and dead or alive. They have to be alive to harvest the organs. How does that work? And she worked tirelessly to try to get me to do that, to make that happen. We called Duke University. We were a part of a study. We were like signed up for all these different things. We were reaching out to people. She was calling me on random Wednesday evenings with information that she had found about infant organ donation and all these things. And like, I forget exactly the body parts that were eligible, but it was like retinas or something. Like, I wanted to donate his heart. I wanted to like give his heart to some baby that needed a heart, because like I told you, I had just had a friend that lost a baby to a heart condition. So I wanted to like donate. I'm like, take him. I don't need him for anything. I mean his organs, his body. I don't need his body for anything. I'm like, take him and bless somebody with him. Well, the way that ended up working out was I went into spontaneous labor at 32 weeks. And he was too little. So again, me trying to be God, making it worthwhile, God took care of it, and I didn't have to make that decision. So talk about getting emotional. Like, if I would have done that, then I'd have had to watch him die. I'd have had to say, I wouldn't have watched him die. If we would have tried to get him to breathe, I would have had to watch him die. If we would have got him to breathe, I would have had to watch him die. I never had to watch him die. It was such a sweet little thing, which is so weird to say. People have different kinds of pain. They talk about how what I did was harder than somebody who just has a miscarriage and miscarries at 8 weeks or whatever, or somebody who does something else. It's what I did was more difficult. That's not true. Your heart is hard for whatever you do. And so, but I always think of that. I'm like, well, at least I didn't have a car seat in the back. These people that have stillbirths, their baby, they go into just spontaneous labor and everything's fine, and then the baby's born with the cord wrapped and they're gone. And that to me, like, that's crazy. Like, I didn't have to do that. And so my pain is like, I'm like, well, that would be harder than what I had to do, or the challenge of getting pregnant in the first place, that would have been harder than what I had to do. I never had to go through that. But everybody's pain is everybody's pain, and everybody's heart is hard for them. And you never discredit somebody for something that's hard for them. It's like, your heart is hard for you, and that's your story to tell, and that's your mission, that's your life, that's your painting, if we, talk about paintings or whatever. But so talking about like, talking about people that, people knowing or not knowing, I made a very pointed effort to make sure that everybody that I was going to have repeat conversations with knew that I was pregnant with a baby that wasn't going to live. So this is back before Kroger Click List or Pickup or any fun stuff like that. You had to actually go in the grocery store, get your own groceries. I always got checked out by the same lady, and she knew his name. She knew he wasn't going to live. She knew. Anybody that was in my life, a repeat customer in my life, repeat character in my life, I should say, they knew. I told everybody. The random, I never went to UDF in Georgetown. I remember distinctly, I went to UDF in Georgetown. I never went to Georgetown at the time. Got gas or ice cream or whatever I was there to do. And I was big and pregnant. And the lady was like dead of summer. His birthday's in June. The lady's like, oh, you're pregnant. Is it a boy or a girl? I was like, in that moment, you get to make that decision. It's like, okay, do I tell him or don't I? Because when you tell him, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's that really hard conversation. Like when you do tell someone, I'm like, no. When it was a repeat character in my life, I'm like, no, it's okay. I want you to know. I want you to know so that you can either be there for me, pray for me, whatever. But if it's not a repeat character in my life, I was like, do I ruin this girl's day by making her feel bad for asking me about my very obviously huge pregnant belly? Or do I just answer her questions and move on and she's never going to see me again? So if I knew that you were not a repeat character, I just answered the questions. It's a boy. Yeah, July 17th, my due date. Yeah, that's it. Have a great day. Glad to see you. See you later. And I just, that's how I handled that situation. So there were like people that I for sure told all the time. But even like for the people that I for sure told all the time, if they told someone, it's on the World Wide Web. Anybody can talk about it. And then what ended up happening was people knew, because I don't know if we were recording when I said this, but the major overarching theme through this whole thing was do not resist pain. Whatever you think is going to be hard, do that. So I would go to the nursery at our church at the time and I would be like, can I hold your baby, please? And they would be like, oh, it's okay, Jenny, you don't have to do that. I'm like, no. I'm not asking you for like you. I'm asking you for me, because I'm going to need to hold your baby. If you don't want to watch me cry over your infant, I understand that. If I could just take your baby for like 5 minutes and just hold your baby, because it's going to be really hard, but I know I need to do it. And through my whole pregnancy, I would have like Gideon moments, and I could feel him coming on, and I would know that I needed to cry. So then when Gideon was born, I was the only one in the room that smiled, because I was the only one in the room that had already done the grieving. I'd already grieved as much as I could up until that time. Fun part of this story is my sister was pregnant at the same time with a healthy baby. And her baby was born on May 29th, and my baby was born on June 2nd. And I went to see her in the hospital, and I have pictures of me holding Jacob and holding my belly like this on purpose. Like, you know, won't be very many times I'll get to hold both of them at the same time. They're only, I think they're like 9 days apart in age. And her husband at the time, I adore this man. They're no longer together, but I love him with my whole heart. He held me. I was there visiting her in the hospital, and while I was there, I was holding Jacob, just, the normal things that you do, talk about the baby and whatever, and something hit me. When I had to hand Jacob back over to Gideon, I was like, oh boy, that's a ticket right there. I'm going to have to hand my baby over for the last time and leave. And that's what I did. And I lost it. Just the thought. I never thought that far ahead. I didn't know. And so just the idea of holding him and having to give him away and know that I was just walking away and that was it, was like gut-wrenching at the time. And then I handed him to Katie, my sister, and Todd just gave me a huge hug and just held me, and I just wept, because my husband wasn't there. I was visiting my sister in the hospital. He didn't come, which he was at work or whatever he was doing to provide for our family. And so I go into labor at 32 weeks. It's a Friday night, and I'm not like in active labor. I'm having signs of labor. I lived in Lake Winoka at the time, and I was delivering at Bethesda North. So we're talking about Lake Winoka to Montgomery, 22 and 3, far, far. I called the hospital and I was like, I'm having these certain signs of labor. I don't know. I didn't go into spontaneous labor with Colt. I was induced with Colt, so I didn't know what these things were, and I'll, save all the super gory details. But I didn't know, so I was like, I think something's happening, but I'm only 32 weeks, so I don't know. But with these babies with anencephaly, they don't recycle the amniotic fluid like a normal baby does. So when you have a normal baby, this baby practicing swallowing, when the baby's practicing swallowing, that's amniotic fluid. Gideon didn't do that. And so the 2 or 3 weeks leading up to me going into labor, my dad was like, whoa. Are you okay? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, fine. He's like, you're really, really big. A lot bigger than you were the last time I saw you, like a week ago. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Well, so I didn't have to do all of that. So then when I called on that day, because I had I had that clout just because of the condition, I said, my name's Jenny, I'm the baby, my baby has anencephaly. I think something's happening, but I don't know. I just wanted to make you aware. He was like, you should come down and get checked. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't want to come down and get checked. I just want you to know. He goes, well, let me call so-and-so, whoever, and we'll see what we think you should do. Call me back. You need to come down and get checked. At this point, Jared is like up to here with me because I'm worrying. I had superseded him and called the doctor, hadn't even talked to him about it. And he's like, great. Now it's a Friday night. We have to go. I had to take Colt to my mom's. We had to go down to the hospital. He was like, and then of course I am just like chatty about it. And all he wants me to do is shut up. He just wants me to stop talking. Like, stop talking about it. It is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. Move on. in his defense, he didn't have signs of life inside of his abdomen like I did. Gideon was moving. He never stopped moving up until the day he was born. He never stopped moving. He was always active. I have a picture of my belly in like a U like this, because he had enough space. He was only 2 pounds. I mean, he's this big. He had enough space. He could just go full sideways inside of me. It was nuts. So he didn't have that. So that wasn't his fault, nor was it my fault. And so we get down to the hospital, and they put me on the monitor, and okay, this is where the story gets really detailed. So the doctor with the pink headband, she checks me, and she's like, okay, I checked you, we'll let you go for an hour, we'll see what happens. If you progress, then I'll check you again. Go for an hour, she checks me again, or she left, I think she left, because then another doctor came in. They did a shift change, that's what happened. They did a shift change at that point, and it was like 7 o'clock in the 7 o'clock hour, they did a shift change. And so then this new doctor, Dr. Phillips, checked me. And Dr. Phillips had a necklace with a heart on it with her wedding rings on her necklace. I'm telling you, I wrote all this stuff down in my journal. And she checked me, and I had made no progress. They're like, okay, go home. You're probably fine. We do see some contractions on the thing, but you're probably fine. Go home. I was like, okay. I fall asleep at like 8 o'clock. I sleep until 10 o'clock. And then at 10 p.m., I'm laboring, full on labor. I'm laboring. I can check them on my phone. I call the doctor. She's in a C-section. I know that her shift is 8 to 8. So they're doing that shift change in the 7 o'clock hour. I know, because I knew that they were 8 to 8. So I called and I was like, I need to talk to Dr. Phillips. I think I'm in labor. She's in a C-section. Keep time of your contractions. Call us back such and such a time. I said, okay. I wait. I call back. She's in another C-section. They say, if you think you're having in labor, go ahead and come. I'm like, okay. I wake Jared up and I'm like, they told me to go ahead and come down. I've been laboring all night. He's been asleep. Jared says, you should take a shower. I've heard that helps. I'm like, noted. So I do. I take a shower, dry my hair. As I'm drying my hair, I realize these are the only pictures I'm going to have forever. So I'm sitting on my floor, I put a little braid in my hair right here, and I'm braiding my hair, and I'm like, oh, okay, braiding the rest of my hair. and because I had a Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep photographer on the books to come and take pictures of Gideon, which is like a special organization that does things. And so I get down there. Finally, we leave. We take Colt to my mom's. My mom gets in the car with us. We are like bolting down the road to get there. We get there. I'm in labor. They check me. I'm like 8 centimeters. I'm like super far along. They strap me to that stinking gurney, and I'm in like a NASCAR pit crew, and they roll me into that room. And then my nurse walks in. Her name's Kate. She walks in, and I'm like, they're like, do you have time for an epidural? And I'm like, sure. So they give it to me. She walks in. She goes, okay, just give me a hug. And she was like an angel from God himself, truthfully. And I just grabbed a hold of her, and I hugged her, and I got the epidural, and he was literally born like 20 minutes later. When I got to the hospital, I asked the guy at the desk, I was like, is Dr. Phillips still here? Because she had just checked me. So it was really important that she check me again, because she knew where I was, and I wanted the same person. I said, what time is it? And he goes, it's 7:47 a.m. I said, okay, she should still be here. Please don't let her leave before she checks me. I just want to make sure that this isn't something silly or fake or whatever. He goes, no, it's not at all. We'll let her know. And so she came in and checked me, and before no time, and I was pushing, and I was like, do I need to push? She goes, I think he'll just come down on his own. You can if you want. And I just, one little, like, barely nothing, and he just came right out, and that was that. And there he was. And Kate got the stethoscope, and his little heart was beating, and she's like, little look on, she's like, do you want to listen? I was like, yeah. So I listened, and I'm like, I have a picture, Mom took a picture of me listening to Gideon's heartbeat on the outside of my body, which was like, he has a birth certificate, he has a death certificate, which is like a huge deal, especially to my dad. It's a huge, to me, it's like, but to my dad, it's a huge deal that he has a birth certificate, because he was alive, he was a person. That something about that just signifies personhood, and it doesn't mean that others aren't, because shortly after that, well, there's something different about knowing that your family is not fully complete. something really special about your son who is, my youngest, who Gideon would have been his older brother by 2 brothers, saying, I wish I had my baby brother here on the what do you wish for, the March Lucky Charm writing activity in 1st grade. Like, what do you wish for? Oh, I wish my baby brother was here. Like, there's something. So even to this day, sometimes in the summer, I'll walk through my kitchen and there's a picture of me and my 3 boys on the fridge. And just this summer, 13 years later, it hit me and I'm like, there should be another boy in that picture. There should be 4 boys. I should be crazy right now. I should have a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old. Like, I should be, but that's not God's will, and that's okay. And that's